everyone, it's me again, Peter Hayward. Now in part 1 and 2 I showed you how music is just a map of the keyboard, and to pick a melody rather, from the treble stave, you simply turn the piece of music on its side, and those lines which were drawn horizontally, how we read music from left to right, really all they are 5 vertical lines drawn through every other note. Now we can extend this to go and to begin to read notes on the bass stave, especially to be able to pick out chord notes from the bass stave, because the bass stave is an extension. Because what we had originally were 11 lines drawn through every other note. And so we've got G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, E. What was it? Every good boy deserves football, that was one. And great big dogs frighten auntie on the bass stave. But the important thing really is to don't worry about the names of the notes. Not yet, that will come later. But to pick out chords, most chords are written round the top end. There's your middle C, look. Do you remember there were 11 lines, there were 5 lines for the right hand, for the treble stave, 5 lines for mostly for the left hand, for the bass stave, and there was a floater that belongs to neither one side or the other, and it's called middle C. It just happens to be in the middle of the piano, but they call it middle C because it's the middle line that was left over when we split the grand stave. It used to be called the grand stave, and they split it into 2 lots of 5 with a floater left over. So if it's written, let's take those away, let's get rid of the right hand. If it's written above the bass stave, it's still middle C. So let's put that there. Now the trick is to read the top notes, is to remember that that top line, the first note above the bass stave, is middle C. It's exactly the same as the first note below the treble stave. Sometimes it's written underneath the treble stave, and sometimes the middle C is written over the bass stave. And so we can use that fact to begin to work out notes of music. For instance, let's have a look on this one. Here we have a chord, a simple chord, 2 notes. I've kept it to 2 notes for now. 2 notes written above the bass stave. So let's turn it on its side exactly the same way, and we see that one is middle C. So as long as we know that that first line is middle C, and then we miss the space, play the next line, which is the top line of the bass stave, which happens to be A. And now, if we take that away, we'll see we have 3 lines. 3 notes written on 3 lines, because that third line, look, is the actual bottom line of the treble clef. Look, there we are, we've taken the treble clef away, and now we know we go from a line. As long as we get middle C, hold middle C, a line to the right, and a line to the left. Come over the keys and I'll show you a little bit closer how we can begin to work out really good full chords in the left hand using the top end of the bass stave. Come over the keys and I'll show you how easy it is to begin to read. So let's just have another close look at that chord. Look, we've got the top line of the bass stave, we've got our famous middle C, and as long as we know where that is we can work all the rest out, and we've got the line above, when we turn it on its side, the line to the right of middle C. So we play middle C, miss and play the line, miss and play the line. And that's the chord of A minor, A, C, E. And the E actually belongs to the treble stave, but the left hand is trespassing, it's made its way across middle C, and it's gone and hit the E as well, borrowing from the treble stave. So now when we turn that on its side, the proper way to read it, there's the 3 notes, like building blocks, miss a note out in between, miss all the spaces. Right, let's carry on with another chord. Okay, here's an interesting one. This time there's nothing written on middle C on the line. There are all the spaces either side, but we can still use the fact that we know where middle C is. It's the one to the left of the 2 black notes. Look, C. Turn that on its side, and now we can see that we're playing all the spaces. We're playing the 2 spaces either side of middle C, and then another space, so we miss the line and play the top space of the bass stave. And and that's G, B, D. But as long as we remember that the middle C line will act as a landmark. The middle C is the landmark to find all the other chord notes, because most of the chords are written around the top end of the bass stave. So to find all those chords that are really, some of them really complicated, to find the notes, we just know where middle C is and we work out the shapes. Either side of middle C, and then miss a line and play the next space. So that chord is the chord of G major. G, B, D. Right, now we're going a little bit lower. We still use the middle C as a landmark because middle C is there, but now we're going down to the left. Miss the space, play the line. Miss the space, play the line. FAC. It's the chord of F major. So you see we can read that now by turning that horizontally, and there's your notes on every other note, alternate notes. F, the line there, next line, and always work from the middle C. So really we should go backwards. Find C first, there it is, there's the line. Miss one, play, miss one, play. Now let's take us a little bit further if it doesn't fall down. Whee! Now what we've got, hey, this is interesting. Right, let's work from middle C again. There's your chord. I've extended it to make it into a different chord. It's actually an F7. So let's show you where the notes are. Look, turn it on its side. There's your middle C. Oops, fit it together. There we go. C, miss one, play, miss the next one, play the next line. Now we're on to the line of the first line, the bottom line of the treble stave. But what's happened to it? It's a flat. It's E flat. So the E drops down one. There's your flat. We drop it down one. So find again. There's your notes. Get it down. There we go. Working from middle C. Line to a line to a line. And to a line at the top this time. Look over middle C. But we drop it down. And there is your F7. F, A, C, E flat. Everything worked out from, it's most important, everything worked out from that first note, middle C. Know where that line is and you can work out all, even the most complicated chords. For instance here we have 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can work them out very easily, as long as we remember that the first line above the bass stave is always middle C. So tip the whole lot on its side, line the C up with C, forget the extra bit at the moment, and we'll just work out the notes. C, now we're on the line just to the right of C, we're on the space right next door to C. Look, there's the line, there's the space, is B. And then a space to a space is G. So we're either side of that first line, but look at that note there. The space next to C, which is B, has become a flat. It's B flat. So we work out the notes first as white notes. Always work them out first as white notes. C, E at the top, B there, and then the next space down, miss the line, play the space, miss, play, and then say, hey, just a minute, that first one next to the middle C is a flat. So instead of playing B, we play B flat. Always use middle C as the landmark, and you'll work out that that chord symbol, those actual notes form the chord symbol of C7. I want to show you, before we finish, 3 important shapes to learn for the bass stave, which will help you to work out lots and lots of different chords using those shapes as a beginning, as a base if you like. The first one is the chord of C. G, C and E, there it is, there's your middle C, look in the middle, just the first line above the bass, and to me it looks like a telegraph pole with 2 wires stretched across it. Then that's the chord of C with the 2 wires stretched across it, and the G forms the pole. And then we've got all the spaces There's your middle C line. Look, the first line above the bass, middle C, and you've got all the spaces to the left and the right of it, plus another one to the left of it. So we've got G, G, B, D, and that one's the chord of G. Learn those three on the top two lines plus the middle C. So we've got middle C at the top, miss one to the left, miss one to the left. So now we've got F, A and C, and that's the chord of F. If you learn those three shapes, those three patterns, they will be really, really useful. And just for fun, here are the bass notes that go with them. There's a bass note of C, there. And with the G chord, we want a G bass. Now let's have a look. Great big dogs frighten auntie. So G is going to be on the bottom line. And finally, let's bring in the chord of F, F, A, C, and there is your F note. It's the bottom one, the bottom space, sitting just underneath the bass stave. So there you go, three chords that will be really useful patterns to begin to work around your bass chords. Good luck with your music, and now I wish you happy music.